Good morning, good afternoon, and welcome back. Zoya, podcast producer here. We're bringing you a super hot theme today on syndication of risk in the London market. Robin is on the podcast this week as he speaks to InsurX CEO Gilbert Harrap and Chairman Michael Watson, who is also co-founder of specialty reinsurer Canopius. If you're not already aware of InsurX or what they offer, InsurX is a digital exchange for the London market, which aims to help brokers find capacity more quickly and help insurers underwrite algorithmically and access new risks. This episode also offers an interesting insight into the power of collaboration between two personalities, as Gilbert and Michael combine youthful enthusiasm with the wise hours of insurance to drive digitisation in the London market. Well, if you're also not already familiar with InsurTech, take a look at insurtech.co to find out what we know and how we can help you find your next collaborator, whether that's an insurer looking for your analytical solution, or if you're one of those insurers and you're trying to find out who can help you move your business forward. Now let's see what Gilbert and Michael had to say.
So for this week's InsurTech podcast, we've got a duet for you. I'm joined by Gilbert Harrap, the CEO of InsurX, who's going to provide a bit of youthful enthusiasm, and with him is Michael Watson, who is the former CEO and chairman of Canopius, now chairman of InsurX. He's providing sage wisdom gathered over many years in the London market. Thank you both very much for joining us.
Brilliant. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Gilbert, I'm going to start with you. You're the CEO of InsurX, as I said, and my description of what you do is it's a platform that enables insurers and brokers to do portfolio underwriting. You do quite a few things. You match demand with appetite, you sort out the data between the brokers and the carriers, and then you can report on the performance of those portfolios. You are well placed in a theme which is super hot right now. How's it going?
We've had some amazing summer, really, of people really wanting to get engaged in what we're up to. I think we're increasingly realizing this is about smarter syndication of risk. It's not just about the follow element, but actually we're finding there are leaders out there saying that we all have a role in making the London market syndication process, which is an amazing process that allows the market to insure these massive, weird, wonderful risks in a really efficient manner. And actually there's a role for us to work with both the leaders, with the brokers, and also those wanting to do smart follow to actually ultimately offer a better product out to the clients wherever they are in the world.
Give us some metrics. I mean, you're an early stage company. How many employees, turnover that you handle? It would just be interesting for the listeners to get some sense of where you've got to.
Yeah, sure. I guess our North Star metric is premium traded. And that's ultimately what our customers, the brokers and the insurers care about. So to come back to, we've done about 60 million, we're just over $65 million of premium traded so far in our first 18 months. We're expecting that to pick up quite a lot in the last quarter of the year. We think that's going to be about 80 to 100 million this year. We've got about 35 employees today, probably 2/3 of that are technical data scientists, software engineers. I think we only have 5 people who've got classic London market background. So we're really pretty heavily as a data and technology company, but just looking to really apply that technology to the sector to help brokers and insurers better serve their clients.
Which classes are you handling at the moment?
So our core offering is live in our first class was contingency. That's what we launched last year. And then we rolled out DNF property, at the end of last year. And that's gone really well this year. So we now have 25 different brokers and 15 different insurers trading on the platform today.
Any classes you're going to add shortly? Anything coming up that's not on there now?
Yeah, so we just both built out our EEA capability. So actually, as of this month, we're going to be able to trade globally, which is really exciting for us. But also, we're just about to launch our marine offering as well. So that'll be our kind of major class. But I think we're one of the also realizing there's an opportunity to allow brokers and insurers to kind of pitch into new classes. So whilst we may build out an offering in property or in contingency, we're increasingly looking for brokers to say, actually, look, we'd like to use it in this class. Can you help us configure the platform for that?
We are an acronym-free zone. What was that? E something?
EEA, sorry, European business. Yeah. European Economic Area.
Okay, fair enough. Michael, turning to you. Look, you've had a long and a distinguished career. I'd say you're coming to the end of a long and distinguished career, but you keep finding new jobs to do. But without going through the history of your career, perhaps concentrating on the highlights, what would be the one thing that you're most proud of in terms of what you've achieved in this career of yours?
Well, it's probably true, actually, even for Gilbert, that every day goes by, he's getting close to the end of his career. But I am absolutely not thinking about ending my career anytime soon. But be that as it may, without question, the thing that I'm most proud of is my role as the founder, chairman, and CEO of Canopius. When I became involved with the business more than 20 years ago, the business had lost more than $500 million in the previous 5 years. And that's when $500 million was real money. And it had a deservedly poor reputation. We then bought the business for £1. 10 years later, we sold it for $1 billion. And then, very much to my surprise, 4 years later, we had the opportunity to reacquire the business. And in the intervening 6 years, I would conservatively estimate we've increased the equity value of the business more than threefold. I think without question, it's been a very great financial success for investors, but I think also now it has a deserved good and strong reputation. But to be clear, that's not been the work of just one person. I was fortunate perhaps and privileged to be the guy on the bridge, but it's been about the team that we've created and the culture that we've fostered, which has helped propel Canopius to be today one of the leading businesses at Lloyd's, and I'm very proud of that.
Well, no, you should be. It's an absolutely fantastic story. It really is. And I look, I can say this with some objectivity. The reputation of the firm is really very good indeed. And it's always a pleasure to deal with. And that reputation is not just as a good managing agent doing good underwriting. It's also a good culture. It's a nice company to deal with. And it's been a pleasure for us doing it. But when you've done something like that, then the whole world's going to come knocking at your door and say, will you come and advise me, please? Can you come and sit on my board? And with no disrespect to Gilbert, I'm saying to myself, what was it about InsurX that said, this is the one for me?
I guess I'd say that fundamentally there are three things. First of all, there is the business proposition itself. The market needs to adopt digital trading. And although InsurX has only been going for a short while, and I got involved not right at the beginning, but reasonably early on, it has a demonstrable product that meets market needs. First of all, it's about, does the business proposition make any sense? Secondly, and very importantly for me, it's about the people, obviously particularly the leadership and the founders and Gilbert and Will and the team that they've assembled. And there's a great culture, there's passion, there's energy, there's drive to succeed. And this stuff doesn't just land in your lap. You really have to work at it, which the team is doing every day. And the third bit is the slightly selfish bit. When you get to this stage of career, you do the things you want to do with the people you want to do it with. And I think I get the most fun when I get out of bed for an earlier stage business, growing entrepreneurial culture, and where hopefully I can bring my personal experience, particularly perhaps around capital raising, but by no means only that, and indeed some market context, and be helpful to the development of the business.
We've touched on this a couple of times recently, and I'm keen to have your views. Looking in from outside, the combination of Gilbert, the proposition, an energetic team, you, your network, your wisdom, your fundraising capabilities is very powerful. And I think to myself, there are others like you at the end of their, I'll get into trouble by saying end of your career, somewhere near the end of your career. But the combination is very powerful. And I say to myself, are there others like you? How do we create more of those tie-ups? Because I can't believe that any business like Gilbert's wouldn't benefit from having somebody like you at the heart of it somewhere.
I think, honestly, I would say I'm not quite sure how you, if you like, manufacture that bringing together of experience with youthful energy, if that's a good way to describe it. And I think the reality is that these sorts of partnerships, they're not going to be for everyone. I appreciate that your listeners can't see all the grey hairs that I still have, but if I represent that experience side of things, I think, first of all, somebody like me needs to be humble, willing to learn some new things, which I undoubtedly am. But if my stock responds to everything that Gilbert says is, I think you'll find, I'm not going to win many friends and influence. I think it's about building trust and contributing in the right kind of way. And then similarly for the more youthful, more energetic, if you like, side of the equation, I think they need to recognize that they haven't necessarily been there and done it all before, and they should be willing to embrace somebody with experience who can help guide the development of the business. But as I say, not everybody is going to do that. I was approached in relation to another sort of insurtech business know, 24 months ago, so, oh God, no, we don't want him, he's way too old, what could he possibly contribute? Fine. Possibly for them, nothing. Hopefully here, something.
Well, that's definitely right. I'm just thinking there may be a role for Instech in creating some matchmaking agency between wise owls and youthful enthusiasts. Gilbert, have you got anything to add to Michael's observations?
I think that there's a really valuable role of wise owls helping entrepreneurs like me who haven't built businesses before understand that relationship of capital to opportunity and appropriately bringing capital in to kind of fuel an opportunity rather than fuel a founder's ego to build a big business with lots of employees that actually isn't really solving a customer's problem.
Are you going to need these fundraising skills of Michael's, burning money, or what's the sort of financial state of play?
We're not burning cash really heavily. We really strongly believe in building a sustainable business. But I think if there's a wider point here, we absolutely are going to need Michael's experience raising capital. We've got a very ambitious business, but we think about capital as very much as something that can help fuel us delivering to a customer demand, and rather than a kind of vanity metrics. I think we probably look at how much customer demand is there for what we're building. And if there's too much demand for our own resources, we will go out and raise further capital.
So demand-led, you get a whole new opportunity from a broker or a whole new class to go into. It's beyond the capability of the existing resource. You'll go out and raise a bit of money.
Yeah, exactly. So I think we're live into our two active classes, contingency and DNF property. And we've got those 26 brokers and 15 insurers. What we typically find is the best opportunities come from our existing partners. And you've got a customer who's going, that this is brilliant. How do I get more value of what you can deliver to me? And we talk a lot about partnership internally in the business. We want to be seen as a technology partner for the brokers and the insurers in the industry. And that's now starting to really play out.
If you raise money, where would it go? Do you need to build more tech? Is it just more people? Where would be the focus?
The reality is technology is built by people. We're growing pretty quickly. We're going somewhere between 3 and 5 people a month. If we do get that customer demand in, there's quite a bit of technology we do want to build out. That's typically putting more technology in the hands of our brokers and the insurers so they have more direct access. So that's doing things using portals, using APIs, which we haven't done as much of to date. But we know there's definitely a strong demand from our customers for that.
You've been at the top of your game these last 2 decades, running Canopius. You've told us about the Canopius story. You've therefore been in senior positions while the London market has sought to roll out digital trading and to make more use of data rather than documents. But it's been slow and it's been expensive. Are there signs of encouragement? Could we have done better? What would be your observations?
Yeah, I do think it's been extraordinarily slow. It has also been expensive, and that's partly around certain market initiatives which have yet to reasonably bear fruit, but also all the attendant costs which market participants have incurred, either in anticipation of these broader market systems or just developing their own solutions. The banking industry is decades ahead of us in terms of its adoption of digital trading. And even though you could argue that specialty insurance is a bit different, there may be slightly less homogeneous risk type, I think now we have the ability, the willingness, and indeed the technology to provide solutions. And I don't think there's any market participant now who doubts the absolute necessity to have digital trading solutions. And we are, yes, now, I think, accelerating quite rapidly.
But presumably, Michael, there's a sense in which if the centre doesn't move fast enough and it's being expensive, that creates opportunities around the fringe, of which InsurX must be one.
Obviously, I'm delighted that InsurX is one of the ones providing solutions to the market. I think when you look at the undertaking of trying to digitalise Lloyd's and the London market as a whole, it clearly was and remains a massive undertaking. It takes a lot of time, costs a lot of money, possibly disappoints, and therefore other initiatives have built up around the edges, be that brokers, be that carriers, be it digital exchanges like InsurX, but other players. And the real trick here is not to try and boil the ocean. It's to try and target a particular segment or process to make it more efficient, to make it cheaper, make it more useful. And whether that's, for example, data ingestion, taking information that gets submitted via email, via an app, via paper even, and being able to absorb that information and turn it into data that can be analyzed, data that can be used for trading, creating algorithmic underwriting solutions, all of these things, but maybe don't try to do all of them. And of course, again, with our own proposition, we have something that makes things easier and cheaper for brokers to place risks and easier and cheaper for carriers to underwrite those risks. Yeah, absolutely. The market is moving forwards. It will accelerate. And it's not a matter of choice. You have to do it.
That raises a second question. So now we're in free-form territory here, because I didn't ask you this question before. But I think of that dynamic, which Michael has explained there, where because the centre has been slower than some would like, the opportunities arise around the fringe. There are niche exchanges, niche propositions that play into this. Should the industry be worrying about putting all these things back together again? What's the tension between centralized infrastructure and entrepreneurs spotting opportunity and building out successful businesses?
I think in many ways, it's almost like society. You need both the government and the private sector. And I think there's a massive role for Lloyd's, for the leadership of the London market, to champion and drive digital forward with that sort of central core. But I think the belief that everything will be done by that central core is misguided. We've had success right from the beginning by leveraging a lot of the core initiatives to then accelerate what we can do. So we already today work with the likes of Whitespace and PPL and DXC, which is now Velonetic, and use some of their data feeds that are coming out of there, and actually working out how you can use some of that kind of core infrastructure that is already around today and then bolt on an application on top of it that can bring benefits quicker, whether it's to the brokers or the insurers. I think is really valuable. And in many ways, that's how we think the fastest way to deliver the benefits of InsurX is leveraging what else is already out there and just making sure it delivers that kind of final mile client benefit, whether it's for the brokers or the insurers. That's how you get the fastest adoption.
And then in that context, I think I know the answer to this, but would you see yourself going beyond your core now, which is portfolio, into a broader proposition outside of simply that specialism?
We've got very big ambitions for the business. I think we're really interested in being involved in that space, so the kind of connectivity between brokers and insurers. We see that as building that kind of digital glue between those players. That's our kind of North Star, where we're trending towards. In the interim, what does that mean? I think there's a lot more that can be done to help the kind of lead market, the market matching between brokers and leaders in the space. And we'd love to help on probably a data proposition there. I think there's a hell of a lot more that could be done to bring more business into the London market brokers from around the world. What other sort of technologies could be developed for them? And then I look more broadly, there's a massive opportunity for exchanges like InsurX in the US E&S market, in what's going on in Singapore, in Bermuda. So I think we're at the start of something really exciting.
Talking of which, Michael, you said you had no plans to end your career, which begs the question, what sort of things are you looking for? What are your plans? What have you got your eye on? And before you answer the question, I'm terribly conscious of the fact that if you sound far too encouraging, you're going to be filled in with all kinds of people saying, Michael, will you work with me, please? You probably need to draw this quite tightly.
As I said earlier on, to me, there's the particular allure and excitement of younger, early stage businesses going through a rapid period of growth and with a good entrepreneurial culture. That's what really gets me out of bed in the morning. I am, as it happens, chairman of another business, completely different. It's not a digital business. It's actually a legacy reinsurance business. So completely different from InsurX, but nevertheless in a similar sort of early stage growth phase. And that's the sort of thing that I want to do. I am fortunate to have been approached in relation to a couple of other similar stage businesses. And I think the answer is watch this space.
We will now. And now you've got us intrigued. Gilbert, back to you. We always ask this question of founders on this podcast. If the listeners take away one thing from listening to this, what would be your message? What would you want them to take away?
Yeah, so my message would be, if you're involved in syndication in the London market and you want to partner with a technology provider that can enable you to do that syndication process, whether you want to do it faster, whether you want to do it using more data, or whether you want to get better outcomes, to come and speak to InsurX. I think we can be a fantastic partner for you. We're really focused on how can we release value to you as quickly as possible.
There's the youthful enthusiasm for you, Michael. We're going to finish up with wise words of wisdom. What would be your advice to anybody who was earlier in their career, were looking at insurance and thinking about whether or not this would be a good place to eke out the next 30 years?
This is probably where I'm going to sound a little old-fashioned, if I'm quite honest. I think if you crave instant riches, success and fame, go and be a TikTok influencer. I don't think the insurance space is one for you. But if you want to build a successful career, if you want to develop products and services which have a personal, a corporate, a societal benefit, and you want to make a good living, then I would say throw yourself wholeheartedly into the world of insurance, and don't try and do it from your bedroom. Do it in a good, alluring workplace with your mates. I think you'll be surprised just how much fun there is to be had in insurance.
Gilbert, I can see exactly what you saw in Michael and his wisdom. That is a marvellous way to end a podcast, and exactly the sort of wisdom that we look for in these things. It's been a pleasure talking to you. You do make a very good team, the two of you, and it's a pleasure from an Instech point of view working with you. So the very best luck with the business, and come back. Michael, given that what you're now looking for new roles, and given the exciting plans that InsurX has, I think we might do another one in 12 months' time, and you can come back and tell us all about it.
Love to see that.
Thanks very much for joining us both.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
That's all from us and InsurX this week. But please do tell us what you think about this and any other podcasts you're listening to. You can track Matthew Grant down on LinkedIn or Robin Merttens. Or you can email any of us hello@instech.co. Don't forget also, find out what we're up to at www.instech.co. That's it. We are done.